right, Mr. Horler,
Good
James
morning.
Horler. It's been a long time since I've known you, many, many years ago. I just wanted to know what made you get into the hospitality business in the very first place?
Well, look, Chris, I mean, as much as you'd like me to say that it was because I met you, it wasn't.
There you go.
If you remember, it was the 1980s, which was a small recession, and none of us, unemployment was very high, and there weren't many jobs around, and I didn't know whether to leave school and go to college and university or not. And I did a summer job in Cambridge at the hotel that you and I met each other.
Right.
And that was the start of me deciding not to do further education and to go straight into working in hotels. And so we worked together in that hotel. I was fortunate enough to be put as a young man on a management training program with Trust Houses Forte, as they were in those days. And then became THF Hotels, and that was the start of the journey. And I worked in Cambridge and then moved up to Windermere as a young man, and worked in various hotels around the country, including Ascot and Swindon.
Veristede.
The Veristede at Ascot, where I was the conference and banqueting manager. And then I moved into roadside and worked with Little Chef and Travelodge.
In fact, James, I can always remember you telling me one day that you said, "I've got a smashing job with Little Chef," and I remember saying, "You must be bloody stupid."
I know, but in those days there were two companies that were very hard to get employment with. One was Little Chef, and the other was Whitbread.
Right.
They were really difficult. So I had to be a manager of a Little Chef. I had 5 interviews, including 2 assessment centres.
Really?
It was that hard to get in. And I did get in, and I joined. And then I moved to the southwest to open the first Travelodge in Somerset, Devon and Cornwall, the southwest. And I worked my way up. And by 24, I was regional director for Little Chef, looking after the Midlands and South Wales region for Little Chef. And that, I learned a hell of a lot, and I did that for 3 years.
Right.
Before joining Granada in the motorway business.
Right.
And I joined Granada when I was 27 to run one of the large service areas. And then again, I was fortunate enough to be promoted up to running a third of the country, the west side of the country, for Granada, and looking after a huge portfolio of high volume sites.
And how old were you at that time, James?
Well, I got into the senior job when I was 29.
Okay.
And I did that through until 31, 32 with Granada. And then I felt I wanted to do something more creative. So I took on the job to develop the Frankie and Benny's business, which was in 1995, 96. And that was a sort of a diner that they didn't know what to do, but they quite liked the name more than anything, I think. We opened a few, they didn't work, and then repositioned it. And out of that came Frankie Benny's New York Italian Restaurant and Bar.
Right.
And that was my first opportunity to be creative and to do menu work, and creating my own culture within the team, and really developing a brand and a business from a design menu.
Sounds good.
So yeah.
So Frankie and Benny's, is it still going today, or?
Well, it is, but not in the way that it was.
No.
We had an amazing culture, amazing. I mean, the people were fabulous. We were trading very, very well, and I've always had the people and the product as the heart of every business that I've been fortunate enough to run, and I think that's as true today as it's ever been. And sometimes that's not the case. Businesses go through cycles, and they suddenly become run by administrative processes and procedures, and that's not how I like to run a business. I like to feel it. I like to know the staff. I like to see what our retention is, be very involved in our manager recruitment. That's how I like to run a business. And, you know, the three big businesses that I've built up, that being the first one, has had that in spades. And I think it makes all the difference to a culture that makes a difference.
Well, when did you go to Tasca then, James? I can't quite.
Yeah, so Tasca, we acquired Tasca through private equity. I wanted to do my own thing, and I was on the verge of buying Frankie and Benny's outright. Right. And then that got stopped, but I decided that I wanted to go and do my own thing. So we bought Tasca, myself and the Frankie and Benny's management team. I led it in 2001. And so in 2001, we bought 16 sites with private equity and with bank debt. And we bought it on 9/11, which is another crazy story, because their worst day's trading was the day that we bought it, which is not one for the, you know, it's not what you want, but it's true. But we came through that initial period of crisis with 9/11 to build a business, you know, and we bought it in 2001, and then I listed it on the stock market in 2005 at 50 sites, and then got it up to 74 sites here and in America, North America, and sold out in 2007. So it was, but again, it was a business that had an amazing culture of.
I always remember you telling me how you got them really fired up by giving them something to, you know, some incentive.
Yeah, we developed a managing partner scheme, and the managing partner scheme was a profit share, but it was a significant profit share. So their base salaries, this is the managing partner, so the general manager became the managing partner, a low base salary, but then we shared the profits with them.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that.
Their earnings went 2.5 times what it was. Right. Our profits went soaring, and the retention was significant, and it meant that we could build a really great business on really great foundations and have managers that were, you know, behaving like partners and ended up earning, I mean, quite a few of them were earning, you know, 3 of them got to 100 grand in a year.
Really,
you know, as a site manager, which if you've got that, it's so powerful, and it's just lovely to see, you know. It's
an incentive, isn't it? I can always remember one of my old bosses, Jim Walker, telling me that he wanted me to earn more than him as a salesman. Because if I earned more than him, the business was doing exceedingly well.
Yeah. Well, we always say, you know, you'd have an issue that the area guys would be earning not as much as the managing partners.
Yeah.
And they would sometimes say, oh, I'm not sure this is right. I'd say, guys, you know, the difference is that the managing partners are there every Friday night, every Saturday night, every Sunday.
Correct.
They have to be there, and they want to be there. And that, you know, you're not in that, it's a different job. You don't want to be there. You want to be running your area, and you don't want, you know, to be as dependent on the success of that single site as you would be, you know, but the managing partners need to be there and want to be there. And the difference was in behavior. Before we did it, they were keen to sort of see if they could go out with a girlfriend on a Friday night. We put it in, they wanted to work on a Friday night.
Yeah.
You know, and it was a very cultural difference.
No. Well, tell me, so you eventually sold Tasca, is that right?
Yeah. So we sold Tasca off the market in 2007, and then came back in 2008, doing the business we've got now, which has been very slowly built. And we've got the Ego Mediterranean business. We've got 21 sites, 1,000 staff. Of those 21 sites, 5 are restaurants and 16 are pubs. But they're big pubs doing great food, fresh food, open kitchens. And it's all about having friendly staff that are from the local catchment, great food, good value, pleasant surroundings and not taking ourselves too seriously or trying to be too posh, you know. And we work well in the Lichfield, Cannock, Nuneaton, up into Yorkshire, Lytham St Anne's, Stockton Heath, and we've just opened in Amersham, and we're building west of Cardiff at the moment. We just restarted the building west of Cardiff.
So exciting times, young Horler.
Yeah, do you know what? I think it's. I mean, look, the last 4 months have obviously been challenging, but you've got to put that into context. We have managed to come through this by maintaining everybody. We haven't made anybody redundant. We've stuck at it. We've been head down, and we've gone through the process to manage this, and we've communicated very well with our staff teams. And now we've opened 15 of the 21. 4 more open this week, and they're trading significantly up on last year, which is not what we thought, but very, very encouraging. And we've done it in a nice way, that we've given the confidence to the teams, a slow reopening, and now we're seeing that giving the staff teams are giving confidence to the customers, and it's working very, very well. So yeah, we're pleased. But I mean, I can't tell you how difficult it was at the beginning, you know, when we all got locked down.
Well, it was very difficult for everybody, I think, James, wasn't it? I don't think you were just the only person, but you've obviously managed it well and come through it. So, and you're still working.
Well, we're still working, Chris. I mean, you know, I know that. I know you're not.
Now then.
Now then. But yeah, no, it's still working. Still love it. And you know, I mean, I've got, you know, my COO has been with me 25 years, and my senior team have all been with me between 10 and 20 years. And I've got a passion for it, and I'm not ready to not work yet.
One thing I tell all my students, you know, have a passion for it. If you have a passion, you'll get on in life. You know, people will recognise that you're passionate and keen. And if you haven't got that, you're not going to get a start.
Well, I think that's true. And you know what? Passion is our industry, isn't it? I mean, it's not about qualifications. It's not about, you know, scores on the doors. It's about the passion, the ability, the drive, the commitment, the enthusiasm, the ability to see the best in people, the ability to see the best in teams, the ability to look at what others are doing and do it better. And, you know, at any level, whether you're doing it in a fast, casual end or you're doing it at the top end, you know, and those opportunities are all there. They're in our hand. Right. We're not restricted. We're not, you know, we're not in many industries where people say, oh, I can't achieve that. I'll be a consultant in 7 years. You know, we don't have any of those restrictions. It's still in our hands how quickly we want to do it, how successful we want to be. And I think that's what makes it really enjoyable.
I try and tell all the students that, you know, qualifications are a given. That's it, end of story. Once you've got that qualification, then you might really start. So have you got any tips for guys who are wanting to start?
Say again?
Now, if you were starting again, you had to get on the ladder, how would you give our students any tips on what they must do to get on that ladder?
Well, I think the most important thing is to have respect for each other. And I've never had a hierarchical company. I've never run a hierarchical company. At the Tasca, we had 2,500 staff. We've now got 1,000 staff. And if you're respectful of each other and you have integrity with each other and you're honest with each other and you communicate well with each other, then you can achieve anything. Right. Because, you know, what you have to do in this industry is have retention of employees. If you genuinely do not value them, then you will turn over a lot of staff. And if that happens, they won't be trained. They won't know what they're doing. You'll spend all your time recruiting and training. Whereas if you look after them and they want to come to work with a smile on their face because you're an honest employer and an honest partner, then you can achieve anything. And that's what we've done, you know, and that's why I go around and hand out 5-year badges and 10-year badges now. And things like that make such a difference because people come to work, they want to work in our businesses, and we've got, we're getting 10 years out of our management now, so there's 10% turnover, 90% retention, and we're getting 5 years out of the average member of staff. So, and to me that makes it so much more enjoyable, but it's only because we have a genuine that they really matter to us and we to them. And I think if you have that culture, then you can achieve anything. And I think it is the most important thing.
So one last question for you, James. If you were taking somebody on today, in say from one of our students, if you're looking for some entry level, what would you be looking for from them?
I would be looking for someone who's presentable, somebody who understands service, whatever brand that may be, but understands service, somebody who's committed and wants to, to make a difference, someone who's loyal, somebody who has integrity, somebody who's a good communicator. So all of those social skills, to me, I can teach the rest. I can teach how to cash up at the end of the night, how to use stock, I can teach all of that, but I can't teach how to be a genuinely caring, thoughtful, considerate, hospitality person. And I can't teach that.
I remember being told many years ago by a chap I worked for called Gordon Bear, and he said, just show me, if you've got the right attitude, I'll make them into something. I'll make them into a hotel manager. I'll make them into a chef. Just look, give me the right attitude. And that's
100% right. And it's true today, as it probably was 80 years ago when you were.
I can't stop laughing at you, James Horler. Oh, sorry. It's been a long time.
No, it's true. It's true today. Just if someone's got the raw material, then and I tell you what, people talk about, is it harder now than it was then, and all this stuff. And the answer is no. You can make as much. I've got general managers now I've got two of them actually that are both only 23, that are running £2 million revenue businesses, employing. One's got 50, one's got 65 staff, and they're 23. And they are just fabulous raw material of enthusiasm, passion, drive, and they are competitive, and their staff teams are together, and that's and that's today. So the idea that it's any different than it was in my time or way back in your time, is not, is not.
So listen, just finally to ask you one last question. We've got a number of our students think they want to start their own business. And I always say, well, it's very good if you've got a spark, if you know what you want to do. Many of them don't know, haven't got a clue what they want to do, but they say they want to start their own business. Would you recommend anybody start their own business straight from college?
No. The reason why I say that is, if you start your own business, you risk a lot. Now, that may be a lot in terms of finances, time, commitment, liabilities, personal guarantees, etc., etc. I think it's very important to know what you're doing before you start your own business.
Quite right.
I worked for other people for 15 years before I had the confidence to go on my own and to back myself. And now, I might have been a slow learner, and not everybody needs 15 years. But you know what? You need some time to know what to do, how to do it. You need to understand a balance sheet, understand a P&L, understand employment law, understand financing, understand debt management. And these things are not, they take time. And don't forget that in our industry, regrettably, I think it's still 8 out of 10 businesses fail as startups.
No, I think you're right. I think also, I remember being told by my father, funny enough, make your mistakes with somebody else's money. And it's quite
that's good advice as well, isn't it? You've got to learn, and you've got to, you've got to know about people and how to run a business, and it does take time.